So in today's lecture, we're going to talk about 3 of the 7 dimensions of wellness. So to begin, we need to talk about how wellness and illness are on a continuum. At one end, we have premature death, and on the other end, we have optimal wellness. And this is on a continuum. So as we age or things continue to change in our lives or our goals continue to change, we're going to be at various stages within the illness to wellness continuum. So just keep that in mind. It's not set in stone, you're at one or the other, and it varies throughout the different stages of your life. So there are 7 dimensions of wellness: physical, intellectual, emotional, social, environmental, spiritual, and vocational or occupational. We're going to talk about the first 3. Okay, and this is just another visual looking at the 7 dimensions. So remember, wellness is an active process, and we need to have balance within these 7 dimensions. It doesn't mean that they are equally weighted depending on what your goals are in each, but you want your optimal wellness within each dimension to reach full wellness. A high level of wellness is a dynamic approach to health enhancement that emphasizes positive health behaviors and preventative practices. It's an ongoing process and should be considered a way of life. Wellness is composed of interrelated dimensions, so social, spiritual, physical, intellectual, emotional, environmental, and occupational. What that means is that you're going to have the different stages of wellness overlap with one another. So for example, if you become more physically well, it may affect your emotional and spiritual because you're in a better sound, you're sleeping better, you're able to concentrate better. So everything is somewhat interrelated. So it's not just one concrete component that you may be working on. If you work on one, it tends to affect several other components. And then each dimension contributes to the overall quality of one's life, but none operates in isolation. Okay, so again, one does not operate on its own. So you're not just going to be focusing on physical health and that's going to lead to total wellness. You have to have your interrelated dimensions with your physical well-being in order to have a high level of wellness. So some influences on health and wellness include genetics. So those are just things that we can't change. We've been born with them based on our DNA. The environment that we live in, the lifestyle choices, social influences, moral and ethical influences, as well as economical influences. So the first dimension we're going to talk about is the physical dimension. This dimension is most commonly associated with being healthy. Physical well individuals are physically active, they exercise regularly, they have cardiovascular endurance, strength, flexibility, and a healthy body composition. This dimension includes a well-being of a well-balanced diet, sufficient sleep, avoiding harmful drugs including tobacco and excessive alcohol, maintaining medical care and exams as needed, protecting oneself from accidents, and recognizing early signs of illness. Physically well people have a great ability to carry out ordinary and unusual demands of daily life safely and effectively. So there are several components of the physical dimension. The first includes cardiorespiratory endurance, and this refers to the ability of the body to take in, deliver, and extract oxygen for physical work or to perform prolonged, large muscle dynamic exercise at moderate to high levels of intensity. Then there's also muscular strength, and that maximal force that a muscle can exert in a single contraction or with a single maximal effort. Muscular endurance, on the other hand, is the capacity to exert repetitive muscular force, or the ability of the muscle to remain contracted or contract repeatedly for a long period of time. So while muscular strength is a one-time incident, muscular endurance is repeated over a length of time. Flexibility refers to the range of motion in a specific joint or group of joints, and flexibility is related to muscle length. And the last is body composition, and it's the proportion of lean mass, which is muscle, bone, and water, to fat tissue in the body. So I would hope we're all familiar with the physical activity pyramid, which is shown here. Okay, at the top, we want to limit our sedentary activities. So you want to sit, watch TV, do computer time the least amount of time throughout the day. 2 to 3 days each week, you want to have some stretching and flexibility training. 3 to 5 days each week, you want to perform 20 to 60 minutes of cardiorespiratory endurance or exercise. And then every day you want to engage in at least 30 minutes of exercise. And if you're trying to lose weight, you want to engage in 60 to 90 minutes each day. So just take a moment and think to yourself how often you follow this pyramid and what areas you may need to work on. So the next dimension of health we're going to talk about is the intellectual or mental dimension. This dimension refers to our ability to learn, to use the mind to gather, process, and act on information, to think through your values, to make decisions, set goals, and figure out how to handle a problem or challenge. It includes your openness to new ideas, critical thinking skills, having a sense of humor, creativity, and curiosity. When you have a strong mental wellness, you are not intimidated by facts and figures with which you are unfamiliar, but you embrace the chance to learn something new. Mental wellness brings with it vision and promise as you are open-minded and accepting of others. You feel respect of people different from you without feeling you have to conform. You are faithful to your own ideas and philosophies and allow others the same privilege. You have your place in the world without having to give up part of yourself or require others to do that. So one of the important aspects of this dimension is what's called the locus of control. This is a figurative place inside yourself that you designate a source of responsibility for the events in your life. The locus of control can either be internal or external. Internal is a belief that you can make a difference and can control or positively influence your state of health and wellness and fitness. External is a belief that factors beyond your control are impacting and controlling your life, such as heredity, family history, environment, fate, luck, friends, and family. And then the last dimension we're going to talk about is the emotional dimension. This dimension refers to our feelings and our thoughts, a journey toward increased awareness, expression, and acceptance of a wide range of thoughts and feelings in yourself and others. The ability to function independently and cope with the challenges of daily stressors. Optimism, trust, self-confidence, determination, persistence, and dedication are all within this dimension. Psychologically healthy individuals value themselves and strive towards happiness and fulfillment. They establish and maintain close relationships. They accept the limitations as well as the possibilities of life. They have a sense of meaning and purpose. Feeling good does not depend on money, success, recognition, or status. So beyond those things, they are generally a happy individual. They're happy with life. They're happy with the path that they've chosen. They understand what limitations they have in this dimension, but also know what they need to fulfill and be happy within their life. Okay, within this dimension, we are going to talk about stress because that is where it does fall in to this category. So stress can be defined as the physical or psychological reaction that an individual has to a demanding or threatening stimulus. The stimulus can take many different forms, such as a test, a job interview, chronic illness, public speaking, death of a loved one, marriage, or money issues. What is stressful to one person may not be stressful to another. And stress occurs when the perceived demands of a situation exceed the perceived capabilities for meeting the dimensions. So what that means is that If you as the individual feel that you cannot overcome the demands of the situation, it becomes more stressful for you. And then because this is a course through college, I'm sure many of you faced college stressors. I know when I was in college, I certainly did. And several of those include balancing an academic, professional, and family responsibility, money or lack thereof it, power issues between student and instructors, scheduling various obligations. So if you have a lot of extracurricular activities, you have to schedule that with homework, with class time, the living conditions that you're in, the class management difficulties. So how do you manage time for studying and doing homework? Interpersonal relationships. How is your social life affected while in college? Technology problems. So what's the learning environment, availability of technology, the support when things go wrong, partitioning a workspace. So because college living environments tend to be on the smaller side, you are living in the same area that you're doing work. So it's hard to separate where you're doing your work as opposed to you're sleeping and socializing. And then becoming a competent career professional. So as a college student, many of you are faced with having to determine what you want to be when you grow up at a fairly young age, 18, 19, 20, or if you're non-traditional, you're going back to school to try to become educated in the field that you want. And then when you're done and you graduate, you're being expected to go out into the world and to perform that task. And are you competent and able to do that? One thing, though, is that stress is not limited to negative situations. It is also a response to pleasurable physical challenges and the achievement of personal goals. Whether stress is experienced as a negative or positive event depends upon the person and how we perceive stress. The situations that trigger physical and emotional reactions are called stressors. The physical and emotional reactions we have are called the stress response. So an example of a positive stress would be graduation. I'm sure many of you, your goal is to graduate and to get a degree, which is a positive experience. So some of the stress that you may encounter along the way, depending on how you perceive it, could be positive. So the challenges that you may have having to work hard to study, you may perceive as positive, while others may perceive that as negative. Okay, so after this lecture, I would like for you to post as an assignment that's on ReggieNet these 3 questions. So of the 3 dimensions, which do you find the most challenging and why? What are some of your stress relievers? And what sources are available for you to help achieve wellness in these areas? The next lecture that will be posted will discuss the following 4 dimensions of wellness. Thank you.